Thank you very much. Okay, sorry about that. Again, my name is Brian Tuttle. Sorry for the snafu with the phone system, but I've been doing HIPAA compliance consulting for about 17 years, since 2000. Well, since early 2000s, when the regulations came out where we need to put in security for electronic protected health information, as well as for verbal and paper health information, obviously. And I've worked directly with the federal government, as well as conducting over 1,000 risk analysis all over the country for groups of all shapes and sizes, great big hospitals, small practices, outpatient facilities, businesses who were dealing with protected health information, government entities, big, small, short, and tall, you name it. I've pretty much seen every possible way health records can be accessed, transmitted, or stored. I've also worked in multiple litigated cases on behalf of prosecution or defense, as these days, and we'll talk about this a little bit, trial attorneys, quite frankly, are more dangerous to us by far than the federal government has ever been. And I'll give some examples of that as we move through also. I've worked on behalf of the federal government as a contracted auditor as well. So when I do these webinars or any assessments or anything I do, I also do it not only looking at it from the perspective, are we securing information, but are we also protecting ourselves in the event of a federal audit? And clearly today we're going to be honing in on human resources and what is protected health information, what isn't protected health information as it relates to the human resources department. So without further ado, let's get started. I have a lot of slides here. I'm just going to do a real quick history lesson. If you think of HIPAA, it really left us alone for many years. Yes, it was on the books, it was law, but it really wasn't being enforced. So it sort of meandered around like this little kangaroo, not really having to worry a whole lot about this. Not anymore. Times have really changed, and especially since September 23rd of 2013, when the HIPAA omnibus rule went into effect, which put in true enforcement of the law. Not only is the government proactively enforcing, individuals can now sue under state laws for wrongful disclosures of their protected health information. So that is, quite frankly, a bigger risk than the government has ever been, because attorneys have picked up on this. The federal government told the states to implement laws of remedy using the federal HIPAA violation as the foundation of the state case of negligence, and this is really shot through the roof. The acronym Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. There are two key words missing in the acronym, that's privacy and security. The problem with HIPAA is the government tells us what to do, but not how to do it. So it's a very gray law. A doesn't equal B. It's extremely abstract and not analytical. So it's up for interpretation. And the way you apply this is not the same across the board. You apply the same laws and regulations, but you apply them differently depending on size and scope and working parts and depending on risk, basically. That's what it boils down to. Kind of like the boy who cried wolf. If you think about it, the law's been around all of these years, but it's not being enforced. So people became lazy, and a lot of groups basically just ignored it, because why spend a lot of time and resources on something that's not being enforced? And I see this constantly where folks just really have no program whatsoever. They've never done a risk assessment, or it's very old. They have no policies in place, or they have very old policies, and it's just sort of been neglected, which is a major, major problem. If something bad occurs, and then it turns, as I was saying, the law is a lot like the boy who cried wolf, been around a long time but not being enforced, so a lot of folks basically ignored it, and then the wolf basically